In the world of glitz, glamour, and never-ending paparazzi flashes, it's easy to assume that every celebrity craves the spotlight. The fame, the fortune, the adoration, it seems like the ultimate goal for anyone in the entertainment industry. But what happens when some of the most famous faces choose to step out of the limelight? It's a story that might surprise you, one of personal choices, unexpected decisions, and a deeper look into what fame really costs. Take for example the story of J.D. Salinger, the reclusive author of The Catcher in the Rye. While not a traditional celebrity in the Hollywood sense, Salinger's decision to withdraw from the public eye has intrigued people for decades. After his novel skyrocketed him to fame in 1951, Salinger chose to completely retreat from the spotlight, refusing interviews, fan mail, and public appearances. For over 40 years, he lived a quiet life in New Hampshire, avoiding the fame that once defined him. His reasons weren't exactly clear at first, but over time, they became somewhat apparent. The constant attention, the pressure, the relentless demands of being in the public eye. Salinger seemed to crave peace more than the adoration that once made him a household name, and he's not the only one. For many celebrities, the desire to live outside the spotlight is more than just a phase. It's a carefully crafted decision. Some might be running from the overwhelming pressure of fame, while others simply want to reclaim their privacy. Over the years, a number of high-profile celebrities have chosen to walk away from the cameras, preferring quiet lives away from the chaos of Hollywood. Take Johnny Depp, for example. A household name for decades, Depp is no stranger to the intense scrutiny that comes with fame, but in recent years, he's made a conscious effort to step back from the public eye. Despite his popularity, Depp has often been seen as someone who is uncomfortable with the pressures of fame. After a tumultuous period involving public legal battles, media scrutiny, and personal struggles, Depp has slowly retreated from the frenzy, focusing on his music and personal life, and becoming less involved in big public events. He's said in interviews that the constant pressure from the media was too much for him and that he sought peace and a return to a quieter, more private existence. But it's not just about escaping the media's gaze. There's also the matter of mental health. The constant attention can be draining, and it's no secret that the psychological toll of fame can be immense. Princess Diana, one of the most famous figures in history, is an example of how overwhelming public life can be. Her tragic end was in many ways a result of the media frenzy that surrounded her every move. Diana's struggles with depression, her separation from Prince Charles, and her overall disillusionment with royal life were all amplified by the spotlight. She had moments where she sought solace away from the cameras, trying to find a way to live life on her own terms. Even with all the perks and privileges of royalty, Diana longed for something many other celebrities might overlook: normalcy. And then there's Reese Witherspoon, one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses, who made a similarly surprising choice to prioritize her family and privacy. After a string of successful films and a steadily growing career, Witherspoon took a step back from acting to focus on raising her children. During a time when many would have capitalized on their success, Witherspoon chose a different path, one of quiet contentment away from the red carpets and flashing lights. She didn't disappear completely, of course. She continued producing through her company, Hello Sunshine, but her decision to scale back on acting and concentrate on her family life was a significant one. Some celebrities decide to stay out of the spotlight not because they want to escape the pressures, but because they realize they no longer need the fame. Sandra Bullock, for instance, managed to maintain an A-list status in Hollywood for years before quietly stepping out of the public eye. Despite appearing in some of the biggest box office hits, Bullock has been known to prefer her private life away from the media circus. Her retreat from public appearances and her ability to remain grounded in her personal life has made her one of the most respected stars in Hollywood. Unlike many of her peers, Bullock has been cautious about how much of herself she exposes to the world. In many cases, these celebrities aren't fleeing from the fame, they're reorienting their priorities. It's often about finding peace, establishing a balance, or simply choosing a more grounded existence. Fame, while alluring, can be a double-edged sword. It gives you everything the world has to offer, but takes away the most basic elements of your privacy, leaving you exposed to the judgment of the world 24/7. Some celebrities get to a point where they simply say enough. They've lived through the whirlwind, and they want something different, something that feels real. Take the case of Kristen Stewart, who, despite being thrust into the spotlight from a young age due to the Twilight franchise, has continuously chosen to keep her personal life as private as possible. Stewart's decision to limit her interactions with the media and keep her relationships and daily life largely off camera speaks to the difficulties of growing up in such a public-facing career. For her, stepping back from the spotlight isn't just about avoiding scandal, it's It's about taking control of her own narrative and not letting the media define her life. Then there's the story of George Clooney, who, after years of being one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood, began embracing a quieter, more private life. Clooney has openly discussed the exhaustion of being in the public eye, even admitting in interviews that he's tired of constantly being asked personal questions. After marrying Amal Clooney and starting a family, Clooney's life has taken on a different focus. He now spends a lot of his time in his villa in Italy, far from the flashbulbs of Hollywood. While he still makes public appearances and participates in charity work, his public life has become more about purposeful engagement rather than constant exposure. These stories aren't about rejecting fame, they're about reclaiming something that was lost in the process. For every celebrity who steps into the spotlight, there are others who quietly step away, seeking solace, privacy, or just a return to something more real. The pressure to maintain an image, to perform for an audience that's always watching, can be suffocating. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't finding fame, it's knowing when to leave it behind. And that's what makes these stories so fascinating. Celebrities, like all of us, have personal journeys, and some of them find that true happiness and peace exist outside the cameras. The allure of fame is strong, but there's something even more powerful: the freedom to live life on your own terms. For these celebrities, stepping away from the spotlight didn't mean disappearing. It meant finding a new way to exist in a world that often asks them to be something they're not. So next time you hear about a celebrity retreating from the spotlight, remember, they aren't necessarily running away. They're just trying to live a life they can call their own. Fame is fleeting, but peace of mind, that's something worth seeking. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the lives of celebrities who choose to live outside the spotlight, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the best stories are the ones that unfold quietly behind the scenes.